can you hear me in the stream real quick? I'm talking now through stream, and then I'll mute myself.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Delay, but yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, when I do VODs, I like to kind of focus on, a couple different things. Whenever I'm doing a VOD with someone, I think in yours, and I'll talk about the minor things too, but I think in yours, I'd like to talk about the main one being positioning. And then we can talk about like some ability usage as well. I think those are gonna be the two biggest things. So let's get into it. I really like what you did on your BAP. I think you played BAP pretty dang well. You were doing damage, which was really nice. I don't think your positioning was that bad on BAP either. Like I think you were like, pretty in a good spot most of the game. You weren't too far away from your team. You weren't too close to the fights. So I thought it was really good. Like an instance like that, you definitely could have probably saved Matrix, Ace Matrix by like immorting early, but like it's not your fault that happens, like your team has to be like more together, right? Like your Lucio needs to be further up with that, you could maybe preemptively healed a little bit too, but that's not a bad thing. That's just hitting good shots and Ace is in a position where cast can see him really easy. One thing I think on BAP specifically you could work on, and this is really like the only note I have like BAP wise, is I think you could maybe use your jump a little bit more. Like in a scenario like you were just in right there where you saw Damien slide away from the Genji and you were like on the point right there. I think if you can jump over the wall there and you take less time being out in the open where they can see you. But that's like something you kind of build over time, I guess. Often on BAP, what I like to do is just like kind of preemptively have a jump ready at all times. So like I'll crouch and then stand up and like be ready to jump if I need it, and then crouch and then stand up and be ready if I need it, if that makes sense. You don't always have to do that, but that's a good little habit to be into. Nice Mort, like to see that. Unfortunate. Everything going on here. This isn't necessarily your fault. Ducky kind of just went in there when you guys were getting thrown back by the Doomfist. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. Nothing really you can do there. I will faster forward through a lot of like the stuff that's not happening because there's no reason to talk about it, Good job avoiding Doom ult. I think right here you could have maybe aggressively immorted. Again, like this is like a real like minor thing. Ducky gets low here, you throw immort, which is nice. Like that's a well-timed immort, everything's good about that. But if you throw it maybe like aggressively here, you guys maybe push in with it since he still has his Nemesis form available. It's kind of like neither here nor there sort of thing, but that might have maybe been the play. Window's good, love that. You guys don't get a lot of value with it unfortunately, but like there's a good window. Since you're not die to flank noon, Team died to flank noon, not much you can do about that yet again. As for the Ana swap, I do think BAP is a little bit better here, but you play Ana well, so like I don't think it's a bad choice. It can definitely work, and it's good into Doomfist. Big anti-nade, really like to see that. Good beat by Flames as well here. And like I said, I think positioning is going to be the biggest one we're going to talk about. And we'll talk about some cooldown management too, but not bad. Like that you went to go help Damien there. Definitely didn't need the nade, but fine that you did. You could probably use it here offensively to make sure you like secure some kills. But yeah. This is all fine. So this is where I want to talk about positioning, and it'll be like a couple fights that we see it here. So this is good, right? Like you're back, you know, standing over here. You're in a fairly safe spot. I think ideally you want to be a little bit closer to the wall, either on your left or right. But like that's if you know they're Cassidy and Alari are close and can see you. You know, you don't want to be in their sight lines. And against the Doom, you know, maybe playing on the right side would probably be a little bit better, so he doesn't, you know, have the ability to punch you off. But this is good. I love this, right? Where the problem comes is in a couple fights, and I'll point it out when they happen, is like you'll walk up and be like really far forward into a position where Doom can get on you super easy, or Genji can get on you super easy. And it's hard to avoid, like, you know, like a Doom getting on you or a Blade getting on you. But like, basically like on Ana, this is the way I think of it, is like anytime I'm playing into like dive characters on Ana, I always want to make it so the only way they can get on me is if they're feeding. So like that's where like being around the wall would be really nice, right? And like being on that right side too is really good because, you know, you have a mini, you have two minis actually. You have the one like right next to point, you know, right here, and you also have this one that you can fall back to if you need to, obviously. And then you know, your cooldowns and stuff. But I'll point out like as we go. Which specific instances I mean. So I don't mind coming forward here like this, right? Like that's fine. Ideally, you don't want to be on point. Like I said, you know, that if you're going to push up, playing on that right side where the mini is the best. But it's fine that you push up here. Like I think the timing of pushing up's good, right? Team just gets rocked by the Doom there, unfortunately. So then here's where I mean, right? So Doom ults, right? And even before the Genji Blades, a couple seconds before this, you know, we see Mercy's about to pop ult too, right? Your team's getting forced back. You need to make sure that on Ana, especially if you're playing like a rush or something and you don't have a brig, you're super reactionary about like, oh, I need to back up, right? So as soon as you see like Doom starting to, you know, punch your team in, you need to make the call like, hey team, I'm backing up. You need to back up too, right? Because then it's really hard to stay forward knowing that they have ults coming up. And again, like once you see the Doom ult, like instantly you want to start backing up. You don't want to ever be like right here. Like you want to be out and make it so like Genji has to feed here to kill you. You know, again, it's going to be hard to avoid a Blade, right? It's going to be hard to avoid a Doom ult if he wants to land on you, but like make them feed in order to do it and try to play around, you know, walls and stuff. Like if Doom does choose to ult on you and you're backed up, right, you have the walls to dance around. If he pops it on like your side of the wall, you hop over to the point side of the wall and then vice versa, right? But you just want to make sure you get off that point as soon as possible, as soon as you see them start to push in, because it is not going to end well for you. Good damage onto the Genji. I wouldn't position this far forward, but like you don't get punished for it. It's fine. Good nano. Good anti too. That was a really good anti. Good damage onto Doom as well. So one of the things, this isn't like cooldown management or positioning wise. This is just more of a minor thing. I don't normally like to talk too much about mechanics when I'm doing VODs, you know, because like unless someone asks me about it, like settings are always going to be like, you know, whatever's best for the person. Like my settings are probably not good for you and yours are not good for me, and all kinds of things like that. But I think this is not like a settings thing. Maybe something that could be like helpful on it is if you're able to work on quick scoping a little bit. Your aim on Ana is good. Like your unscoped aim is quite good. I think you hit a ton of shots. It's awesome. Like I saw you doing damage with the unscoped accuracy. You're hitting heals with it quite a bit. I would imagine your percentages are good, and that's all like situational, but your percentages are good. And when you're aimed in, you know, you're hitting some shots pretty well too. But like the quick scoping ability makes it so like, you know, you can just hit those shots way easier, right? So like you have the speed of, you know, your unscoped plus the fact that it's hit scan at that point when you're scoped in, and you know that accuracy like is able to go up for sure when you're quick scoping. But two, you know, you don't, like if you're not fully scoped in the whole time, like you're able to see the whole fight as is, and that's what's ideal with supports. So I think that's something that could definitely benefit you if that's something you'd want to work on. But that's the only mechanic thing I'll talk about at all. I don't want to force that at all to anyone. Really good nade. Good finish up onto him as well. I know you're waving here and it's gonna be tough, but I genuinely think you probably could have killed that Mercy. I'm not even kidding. Her standing there, you line up a nade and toss that as you're like shooting, you probably kill her. I think she dies. She stood there for quite a while. I know that's not serious, but that would have been funny if you killed her. Okay, so this is a little bit better, right? You backed up off the point here. That's nice. You like to see that, and I like the right side as well, right? But then you kind of wander back onto the point, which makes it a little bit awkward. And again, like your team's pushing in here, so like I get why you want to move back forward. But if you move back forward into that right side, like the mini room, right? You know, you're a little bit safer. There's more cover, one, but two, you know, you have sight lines on your tank if he pushes to the left, right? And as the support, like I know you're a vocal player. I'm also quite a vocal player, so I have no doubt that you're able to do this, or that you may already do this, like telling your tank, like, hey, I can't see you if you go there, all that sort of stuff. Like, you just tell him that, and if he goes forward there, like, you know, that's on him, that's not on you. You're positioning right. You're telling him everything. So, like, playing here is going to be really ideal for you. You have good sight lines. You're not worried about the high ground shooting at you. You know, you do have to worry about this a little bit, but, like, you know, if your tank says he's, like, seeing a bunch of people over there, like, where he's at, you don't have to worry about it as much, too. So, like, this is just going to be a really good spot for you on if you want to push up. Most of the time, like on control maps in general, but there's ones that are worse than others, like this one, you know, Ilios Ruins, what's another good one? Nepal Sanctum, like a lot of those sort of points that are like a little bit lower than some of the high grounds next to them. They're just like kind of a little like basin. They're not ideal for supports to be on, right? Like you, as a support, like unless you're stalling or, you know, capping because your team want to fight, you don't really ever want to be on those points. Like Lucio maybe a little bit, like this one kind of makes sense for him to be, but like most of those points, ideally, like the supports just kind of never touch. Good try on the nade. I think that's one of those, that fight right there was one of those moments where, you know, the quick scoping would really help you, because like you were like kind of caught in two minds there. Like, you know, you want to shoot at the low supports over on the left, right, and you want to shoot at that Doom on the right. Plus your team needs heals on left and right as well. Like that quick scoping makes it a little bit easier for you to like go back and forth and hit those. So that's something that's really big to potentially work on as well. This was really good. That was awesome. Very good sleep. Love to see that. Absolutely destroyed him. Unfortunate ducky feats. And that's again like one of those moments, you know, where you can, you know, yell at your tank like, hey, Doom's on me, don't go forward. And Ducky's new to leagues and stuff, so I understand where, you know, he may have not, you know, got the memo there, even if you did call it, but just always make sure you're yelling him or yelling at whoever your tank is to, you know, back up. Doom's on me. Good finish onto her, by the way. This is nice. So, right here, right? So we have beat, obviously. I know, like, in the game, in the moment, like, you might not be aware of like what all's going on exactly, but Flame should be saying he has beat, you know, or like we should have said it in a fight prior, so it should be in the back of your mind, right, that we have beat. So right there, when you kill the Alari, my first thought I want to do here is toss a grenade. I want to anti that Cass, I want to anti that Mercy or Genji, any one of them or all of them, because you do not want her to get that res off onto Alari. You do not want them to be able to take space while your tank is pushing forward or pushing back from spawn, right? They're all here besides their Alari now, since you got that great kill on her. Think about antiing instantly, so like they cannot continue pushing forward. Basically buy some time for your team to get back. And even then, even if you like, you know, don't buy time, like there's even a potential chance for a kill there, right? Like you hit an anti under Mercy here, like your Tracer may be able to chase. Your Tracer's right here next to you. You know, your Damien's coming back too. Like, there's a chance you guys kill someone with that anti as well. And ideally, you know, when your tank's gone, I understand you might not want to throw a nade because, you know, I want to be able to save that for if their Doom dives in on us, or, you know, if they're coming up on Blade, you know, any of those sorts of things. But in this specific instance, especially, like, you still have sleep, you know. You have your team with you minus your tank, like all of your positioned together. Tracer's probably going to leave, but like you're all here together. So there's going to be peel, and you have beat, and that's the big one. Like if they engage super hard, Flames has beat. So make sure you're thinking about that here. Good finish onto the turret though. That was huge. Similar thing like I mentioned, you know, with the, what's it called? Cooldown management there earlier. Because like, you know, you don't throw it aggressively because, you know, you kind of just are standing there and like taking damage unnecessarily. Like there's no reason for you to be taking damage there. You could be around this wall like this. They end up doing lots of damage to you and Flames, and you got to use it defensively, and that's not ideal. And Flames dies even. He's feeding, but like he dies even. Good sleep. I think it's just C9 here, unfortunately. Another cooldown thing, you just got nade back, right? If you had gone aggressive with that first nade, you would have had it back even sooner there. When you see, you know, both Ducky and Doom together, like that's always a good time to toss a nade, right? If you're not going to be using it like aggressive onto their backline, it's always good to like toss it aggressively onto both tanks. Unfortunate that hit you. I think it comes up here again. Yeah, so right there again, like. This would have been an even better opportunity to toss that nade, so you hit it on both of them. There you do. Good. Didn't remember, honestly. My apologies. Definitely toss nano as soon as you get it. Good. Very good. But I think your team just C9s here, unfortunately. I don't think there's much you can do about that. Pretty sure it's just C9, yeah. I mean, not really C9 because they were getting pushed off, but yeah. But yeah, overall, good stuff. Yeah, like you were hitting some nice nades. You know, again, I thought your BAP was quite freaking good. I think you did a really good job on the BAP. Just be careful with the positioning on Ana, like where you could be a little bit more aggressive on something like a BAP or a Kiriko or a Moira. When you're on that Ana, like you got to always be thinking about like those long ranges, and like I can definitely like hit the shots from range, do my healing from range, do some damage from range. So like be a little more careful. Okay, so this point, I thought you positioned. Sorry, you have a question? Yeah, I don't think, no, you're good, I'm sorry, like, there's a little bit of a delay and stuff. I don't think that it's wrong at all to be playing the Ana there. I think BAP is, like, a little bit better with your team comp, right? But I don't think it was wrong to play the Ana there. Ana's really good into Doom, right? Like, it's going to be a little bit harder against Genji, right? But it's really good into Doom, so, like, that's completely fine. I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I think Kiriko could have worked there. I think Moira also could have worked there. So, like, any of them would have worked, and that was fine. And I'm happy you feel confident on Ana. Ana's my favorite support to play, and I feel most confident on her as well. But I think, to me, often, like, there will just be scenarios where, like, you know, I'm playing better on BAP or whatever. And I think, like, again, nothing wrong with your Ana, but I think you played the BAP, like, exceptionally well, like, especially for, you know, saying you aren't super confident on BAP compared to Ana. So I was just trying to emphasize, like, you played really well on the BAP there. I think you did a really good job. Where I was going to go with this next point, I think this first fight, I think you positioned really well. This was awesome. You stayed in this room, so there's like no chance of getting booped around and screwed over. You have the mini behind you. You'll still peek out to like help your team. You peek out a little bit to do damage, and we'll see it as we watch through it. But I really like this. This was awesome. Good sleep as well. Definitely look for. I know you pinged like this was wonderful. Like. Even myself, like I all the time when I'm playing Ana, I'll sleep someone and then just like go impatient and not shoot them or not wait to shoot them. Like I'm just like I go with like stupid mode. This was really good that you're patient here. Definitely like try to do the countdown if you're Ana though. And I'm not saying like you did or didn't. I have no idea, but try to make sure you're the one that initiates the countdown of when to shoot at them, because like, you definitely could have got the nade off here. I think he dies anyway if I remember correctly, but really good sleep again. That was awesome. Yeah, see, they shot a little earlier than your nade. Definitely would have finished that a little bit sooner if he doesn't. It's good that he died anyway, but yeah. But again, like this is incredible positioning. Like this is lovely. I love to see that. Phenomenal shit. I'm so happy you position like that, and then you would come out to do certain things like finish the Mercy. Like. Make sure she dies here. That's like also awesome. Love to see that. This gets a little awkward. So, where I mentioned like you want to position so that Genji has to feed or Doomfist has to feed. You also have to think, unfortunately, on maps like this, where your team is winning the fight. You've killed both supports here, right? They'd used res already, like. In this scenario, like the position to make Genji feeding is to not isolate yourself. So ideally, as soon as you see Genji like getting onto you here, I'll back up and watch through it real quick again. I'll be right after the Mercy. Let's res. So she reses, right? In this scenario, like she is dead. And you now like Genji is like right behind you, right? Like you can't see it maybe yet, but as soon as you take that first bit of damage, instead of like turning around to deal with him, the play is probably going to be to like run towards point with your Lucio and like call for flames, like hey, I need help. He should like hopefully turn around and boop the Genji away, so that way you have the chance to get towards Ducky. And like this is something like in the moment, you don't think about it, right? Like I do this all the time, so that's like why you wanna think about this stuff before it happens, so that way, you're not having to like critically think about something like that is like as difficult of a situation as this. You just want to like just purely like react, like hey, I'm running away from this Genji. We're winning the fight. I'm running away. And, like I mentioned, point isn't the ideal place to play, but in that scenario, like it is because that's where your team went, you've already won the fight. Okay, so positioning on second point here, there's two things you can do. Like I mentioned, you don't want to be on point, and I know like I contradicted myself a little bit in this last part where I said, you going to point was the right call, but that was solely because the fight was won. You're making sure you don't get picked off by the Genji. Now there's going to be like a couple places you can play as Ana. The one we'll talk about is back here. So if your team, is falling back from this, like this front forward position, you could be back on your side, playing right around here. You have the mini right to you on the left, like you have the ability to like move to the right if you need to, but like this is very safe, right? But it becomes awkward to hold this position because if your team wants to push forward, then you have to feed to go forward. So there's two more ideal positions. One's going to be high ground, obviously. Being on this high ground, right, like ball, Genji Tracer could dive you, right, which is not ideal, but like you very easily can drop off. And hopefully if you're on this high ground, Flame starts here with you. Now this is where we get into like the higher level stuff where your teammates aren't going to always like know what to do, but ideally your Tracer should be at the very least scouting, right? So she should know if they're pushing over here to dive you. So if you're on high ground, your Tracer should be able to alert you to that. or your tracer should be marking one of their DPS or like making it so that they can't full dive you. That's the ideal thing to do here for your tracer. Like I said, your teammates aren't going to always know that in this level, so that's okay. So if you do get dove, if you're playing up here, you just drop off. You drop off 2 point, which again, you know, stinks, but like you drop off to your team. You could drop off this way if, you know, they're not able to follow up real quick, and you just, you know, you're a little bit safer, right? Like if you see them starting to engage and, you know, like you see ball starting to swing up, or like Genji's in dash range and he's looking at you, maybe, you know, you just drop off right away and you play down here for a second, you know, reposition back this way, and then you know, tell your team to fall back. And then the secondary position, and I think this is one that's like a little weird, but it's underutilized, is this left side. So I like on Ana sometimes to like play like the off angles, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is like taking an angle where, you know, you could see your team, but like the other team's looking, if they're looking at your team, they're not also looking at you. So you're not like directly behind your team, you know, you're not in line with your team. So if you're over here, you know, you have the mega, right? Little scary with ball, like being able to boop you, but like unless ball pushes you, you know, you can play around that mega if you need to, if DPS pushes you. You have the ability to fall back and play safe. You have a mini right here, right? Your team should be in range, you know, to come back and help you. Flame should be able to quickly speed back, help you back here too, right? Or, and this is where it becomes fun, if your team's pushed forward like this, or even further forward, playing up here, right? So you have this little off angle where you have a lot of cover. You know, again, your tracer should be, you know, marking DPS or, you know, scouting. She should know if they're coming this way, so you shouldn't be surprised by them coming close. They can't push you over here if your tracer is playing smart and like, you know, like blocking them from coming close, right? So this is a really nice spot right here where you can like go between the 3 areas. You're in like a really good spot. You can see your team from all 3, you know, depending if they back up from that last one. And then you also have a mini over here, obviously. So like this is a really nice place to play. And this is also really good for like hitting those off angle grenades, throwing some antis onto them from like the off angles. If they're looking at your team main and you're standing here, like your team's like right around this area where they are, and you know, they push into your team, you toss a nade from over there, your team just kind of wins the fight. You know, it's gonna be tough for them to do anything. But all 3 of those are gonna be better than like playing on point like this. You know, if you are in that last position over on the left, you could still be in this area. You just want to be further back on those stairs. You can still see them up there from the stairs, right? You can still like toss nades from those stairs. So like that's going to be ideal for you. It just becomes awkward when you get onto a point like this, because if they have a hit scan that goes high ground, you're completely screwed. Like this is so awkward for you. You know, ball has like all kinds of stuff to grapple onto to boop you around. Genji and Tracer don't really have to go too far to get to you. They can just literally walk through your team to get there. You know, your insight lines of Alari too, which becomes a little scary. Excuse me. Okay, so I think this is a fight that, yeah, so there's one big thing I want to talk about here. This is like some like cooldown stuff. So unfortunate Ducky dies here. You're coming up on Nano, right? Nano is definitely the ult you want to engage with. And, you know, when I saw your ult onto Damien first point, I never thought that there could be, like, problems with, like, the Nanos at all, because, like, that was a really good Nano. You did it so he could engage with his ult. It was beautiful. I love to see that. Here, though, it's a little bit awkward. So this fight gets messy, you know, in a lot of instances, like, as a support, you're like wondering, like, is this fight winnable? But as a support, as the fact that you can see the fight going on, like, you're the person who like should be like most aware of the fight being winnable or not, right? Because you can see everything. So ideally, you want to look to Nano here. I know, again, your Orisa dies, it becomes a little bit awkward. You guys kill 2 though, right? So Nano needs to come out instantly. This fight's so winnable even if they res, which they do. Nano target's going to be hard. Ace is a good target to Nano on Cassidy, but Tracer's also a really good target. Either one that you Nano is going to make this fight winnable. I know Ace dies here. I don't know if it's before or after the Nano is available. I'm not sure. But you definitely want to look for Nano here. Think about ults on support, especially as fight like ults that could turn fights. You Nano here, you know, your team sustains. You can back up a little bit as your Tracer's putting on pressure. They might not get res off because of your Nano Tracer or your Nano and Cassidy. gas, right? That makes the fight a win. Even if they don't, right? You know, Ducky's going to be coming back, like starting to come back by the time the nano's wearing off, right? So you've sustained now for quite a while. You know, your DPS have ults. You might keep one of them up if it's Ace. I don't know if he dies before or after. I don't remember. But then also, you know, then you guys have beat, and they have no ults. So like you guys could completely roll through this fight, win it, if maybe without the beat even. But like you toss an Nano right here, he dies before. But so it's a 2v2, right? Unfortunate, but you toss Nano into Damien here. He hits a pulse bomb, you know, he does a bunch of damage, he stops res. The fight is still a 3v3 with their ball coming back, with Ducky coming back. If their ball gets back so much quicker and makes this fight winnable, you guys have the beat, like I said. You know, it's definitely, you look to use your Nano as a way to like win fights that are close, or to engage fights. Like you kind of want to use Nano on cooldown because you can just build it so fast. You end up holding Nano, and you go forward to, you know, go help Damien. Not ideal. Never chase any of your teammates if they're feeding, or if like they're in a position where they're going to die on support, because anytime you do that, it's always going to end in your death, or, you know, even if it doesn't, like, you're probably going to take unnecessary damage. But we hold on to Nano. Okay, we'll have it for the next fight. We're going to the next fight with 5 ults. Should still be a win. Definitely look to Nano early on this fight. I think you guys win this fight even without it, but like I said, Nano's going to be that engage ult. It's going to be really good. I think you might Nano towards the end of the fight, but look to do it as the engage, because it's one of those ults that not only can win a fight, but like you can build it so quick. So just look at it in that way. Like I'm gonna use Nano, and then I'll probably have it back by the next like fight and a half. This is unfortunate. Yeah, we just end up dying, unfortunately. We win that, yeah, without it. Like I said, though, look for the Nano there. We may not need to use one of the DPS ults if we Nano, right? And it's okay that you didn't Nano in the sense that, like, you guys won the fight, but like if you use Nano there, maybe we don't use one of the DPS fight ults. We have the DPS ult for the next fight. We don't need Nano, and by that point, like, we'll build another Nano in the next fight. They're trying to sleep. Always look to, I know that's an awkward one because it's like Genji, but like if you have an Orisa or like a Zarya or like any of like the tanks that can like move people around or like pull people in like those, look to like combo with their Alice using nade. You know, your Nano obviously just completely ruins that Genji's life. You guys shut down that ult, and they used Valk, which was awesome for you guys, but like in the future, like, Genji dies anyway, but look to combo those, because that could be like a really big combo together. Good nade onto the Doom. And we just kind of sell this, unfortunately. We don't finish anything, if I remember correctly, watching this back. Looked like you wanted a quickscope there. It looked like it. Similar thing, you know, being on point there, you take the Doom ult, not needed. And we just, as a team, are not very good at closing out this map. This isn't a you thing. By any means, this is 100% not your fault. Ideally, again, you don't want to be on the point, but like, your DPS both push forward instead of just finishing the Tracer who's on point by herself, and we lose, and that sucks. Just not good. We sold this very hard, unfortunately. Yeah, there's not much you can really do here to like make this different, other than like, you know, positioning. I don't think like you positioning better wins this fight by any means. So like the whole thing's just unfortunate. Good try trying to stay alive on the Tracer, and you backed up at a good time. That was very good. Yeah, we just sold that. So unfortunate. Nothing you can do about that, though, for sure. we did a good job avoiding the pulse. Unfortunate Ace dies early there. I think we kill this Doom here, but another thing that like we want to think about is like, again, like tossing those nades. Like I mentioned on first point, like when Ramatra and Doom were like really close to each other. When he was right next to Ducky there, you toss that nade, he dies instantly, which is great, right? And you heal Ducky. And I'm pretty sure he dies here and you heal Ducky also, which both are good things. But using the nade there, like one, you know, your cooldown starts, you get it back quicker, which is good. Two, and more importantly, you know, you're healing them both, or you're doing the damage and healing at the same time, which is also good. And number three, you're killing Doom in an area where he's not resable. So you kill Doom back there, right? Mercy has to feed to res him, and she does a dumb thing and feeds to res him anyway, and you sleep it, which is great, but like it becomes a little bit harder to like stop that res when he's behind that wall, right? So make sure you try and like, you know, do that damage and healing at the same time there. Toss that nade a little bit earlier onto them. Actually, Ducky dies even, so I didn't remember that. My fault. So yeah, you toss that nade, Ducky doesn't die, and you kill Doom instantly. So the trade happens, which is great, and you sleep Mercy out of res here, which is also great. But if you toss that nade, Doom dies in an unresable spot, and Ducky doesn't die. Very good sleep, though. And good call to back up, too. I find that on support, a lot of people think that, like, you know, you're like very much at the mercy of your tank and, you know, whatever else. Like, that is true, but I think on supports like Ana, on like BAP, on Zen, you know, on Kiriko, like, you're very much able to, you know, really have a big impact on the game, and that's one of those instances where like you really, really could have a big impact on the game. I like your positioning all here, though. That's very good. You're not like pushing in too far. Becomes a little bit awkward with the tracer. I think maybe I get why you went to point. Maybe not back or walk all the way to the point like this. Like walk to like the edge, if that makes sense. Similar thing. Use nano as early as possible here. You guys are in last fight scenario. No need to hold the ult. Go try to sleep. Good job getting out of that. And the nade was really nice too. Flames needs to get on a wall. He doesn't die there if he gets on a wall. But yeah, this then becomes a little bit awkward because you're going to try and stay away from the tracer. Unfortunate. Again, not much you can do in that scenario. And yeah, that's it. Nothing else major happens. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end stream real quick and hop over to Discord. And we'll talk a little bit. If you have any questions or anything.